Okay guys, from this video we are going to work step by step on our structure for our project. The first step is to create our grid. In a Revit, it's a very easy process by just going to architecture tab and choosing the grid here, or just click on GR. Then we are just going to pick line. Since we have our own AutoCAD file, it's a very easy process and we can do it very easy. But let me just go create move my first floor to, let me check it, where is it? Maybe I need to bring it up like for 4.5. Yes, we need to take it up a little bit so we can see all the lines in a much more better way. And after that we are going to create our grid by just going to grid panel. We are not going to have any specific settings here right now. We don't want to work. We are just going to pick line. We are just having the offset here as we know, and in edit type we are going to have the symbol as your wish. You can change it, but usually circle works good. But if you want, you can change it by uploading. As we work, we need to go to the import family, load our annotation file, and then we can find it here. So this is about how to bring our symbol for the grid. And then we are going to have center segments, end segment weight, and the color, the type of the line, and so far we don't have any special setting. Then we are going to pick line. Since we have our AutoCAD, it's a very easy process. By picking the first line, the grid will be created by number 1. As I said, AutoCAD or Revit is a very smart software. Just by changing to A, capital A, and going to the grid again and use the pick line, Revit is going to create each grid by the alphabet. According to the alphabet, we are going to create our grid. The next step is to create our vertical grid. By going to click on 1, then we need to change it to number 1, and after that go to the grid, pick line, and create our grid 1 by 1, number 4, number 5, and number 6. The next step is to clicking on because as you see, A and 1 is in a longer line, so we need to change it by clicking, moving this circle to up, and until we will see the hash line and we will see the lock icon. When you're moving it up, it's going to lock with all of your grid here. We are going to do this operation here too. We are going to move it up and we are going to see lock. The next step is to grab one of them, and just very easy. We just click on this circle and take it down. All of them will automatically move with each other. We don't need to even be worried about moving one by one, because Revit take responsibility to do all of the easy operation. So far we created our grid. The next step we are going to work on in this video is about to create our columns. It's a very important process actually, and it depends in our project. We can choose column category from architecture tab, column. The arrow will show us structural columns or architectural columns, because in Revit it's different. You can as you see, create architecture columns on your structural columns. As you see, this circle is a structural columns, and inside that metal or aluminum column with the shape of H is our structure column, and we can see the preview here if it has. Yes. So it depends on what type of column we are going to use in our project. You can use both system, but for this project I prefer to use just structural columns, but the type of concrete. So I'm just going to click on columns here, or even I can go to the structure and choose it from here, columns. But these columns will be just structured because we are in the structure tab. Where should we create our columns? It's a very important note, and you should know that before starting creating your columns, you need to go to the structure plans level S1, and after that, because it's a structure operation, we are going to S1, click on columns, and we need to see in our properties we don't have any option as a default. We just go to load family, and we are going to choose our columns as our wish. For example, in our specific library, I prefer to go to my own library. It should be here, and then I'm gonna choose column, a structural column, concrete category, and I'm gonna have different of them, so this one is good. By loading, I'm gonna go to edit type, duplicate it, my for example, what should I name it? My concrete column, my concrete column, and that's it. Okay, and here we are going to, if you want, you can change the size, but I think 30 centimeter is fine. Let me check it out. Yes, 30 centimeter is actually a very good value for that. You can make it smaller, but 30 centimeter is the original one which we have in our project. Column has some setting which is very important. The first one is located here, depth and height. So what's the difference between them? The difference is if you are going to create your columns as a default, it's on depth. It means, for example, if you create your columns on level 2 and the option is on depth, it's instead of leveling up your columns to go up from level 2 to level 3, which we wanted, it's going to create it to downside from level 2 to level 1, which is not the right operation. And I still don't know why Revit is not fixing this default option. So we need to change it to high. So whenever we are going to create it from the first level, it will create our columns to the higher level, such as level 2 and so on. The second option is uncut and unconnected and connected. It's also important for some of the objects such as column or wall. We are going to have this option because we want to, for example, continue one, for example, object to the different level. So we are going to have this option. If it will be unconnected, you can choose the value here, but since we have a very readable level in our project right now, we can choose level, and I'm gonna go up until level S4 because we are going to have all of our columns in the same location in this project. But if you have your columns changeable in your project, for example, if your columns in your first level is different with your columns in a second level, the location, the material, you just need to go level by level up. For example, from level 1 to level 2. Level 2, you need to change the position, you need to change the material or your column, then you need to create it level 2 to level 3 and so on. But for me and for this project, for our project, it's fine to use this. And after this operation, we are going to have a structural material which we can change it later, and that's it. But one of the very important option we have in our columns right now, and we need to work on that, it's add grill. Instead of creating your columns manually, going one by one, which will take lots of time, you can use add grid option. Since we draft our grids perfectly with no problem and we continue to the end, so our grids cover all of our columns, such as vertical grids and horizontal grids, we can use this option. But if you didn't continue your grids from here to the end, I mean covering all of your columns, you cannot use this option properly. We are going to use add grids and just open a very huge window to cover all of our grids and say finish. So all of our grids, all of our columns are created. By going to the 3D view, we are going to see them here. As you see, all of our columns are here. So the point is, some of the people and in some of the projects, as I said, the columns usually located level by level. For example, instead of creating from the first to the end, some people, they just created one by one level, and they can use the copy paste option or create it again. For now, we are moving with this operation, and if we had any problem, we can just go click one of them because it's not group at all. We can choose one of them, and we are going to have more setting here, such as base and top offset. We are going to have top level, base level, and we can change it as our wish, and we are going to have some additional setting too. So we are going to create our columns like this. The next video we are going to work and have some information about the different type of foundation, different type of architecture foundation, structure foundation, and which one we are going to create. And we are going to create all of them, and we are going to create one of them specifically and leave it for our project.